Hello and welcome to this bite-sized briefing. This is your opportunity to hear from an elite athlete on an issue that matters to you. In this video, you'll get to hear from Jack Rutter, a man who has captained his country at the Paralympic Games. Jack will be sharing his story and experience of having a hidden disability, with the message that anyone with a disability can still achieve amazing things with their life. A big thank you to Westfield Health for making this video possible. Let's start by hearing Jack's story.
Before school, I'd go and play football, get back from school, drop my bag off, run straight into the garden and play football again. When I signed for Birmingham City, I wanted to try and make the most of it. I wanted to be a professional footballer. I was so close. Just unfortunately I got caught up in an assault. This lad's punched me in the back of the head and I fractured my skull in 2 places. I was diagnosed with having mild cerebral palsy. I couldn't even walk straight. To be within inches from achieving a dream that I'd had. I'd say for 3 or 4 years, it was horrendous. I didn't want to be alive anymore. It matters not how many times you fall down. What matters most is how many times you rise.
Go for this thing, come on.
I got a phone call from the head of disability football at the Football Association. And we wanted to come and have a trial with the England team. And I was like, wow, what an opportunity this is for me. I've risen from the ashes. My dreams could become a reality in Rio.
Hi everyone, Jack Rutter here, and here are my quick fire questions. What is your sport? It is football. Who inspired you to play? Eric Cantona, French international who played for Manchester United, full of character, full of personality, scored important goals. Watching him play inspired me to play. Of course, favourite football team will be Manchester United. Favourite food is Thai food. Favourite film, Robin Hood, good old Robin Hood. Kevin Costner, Robin Hood, what a great film. Greatest achievement is definitely doing the work that I do now. I have a good platform from becoming a Paralympian, so now I use it to help motivate and inspire others all over the country. And that leads nicely on to the last question. Best country ever played in has to be Brazil in the Paralympic Games. 15,000 people in the stadium, millions watching around the world on the global stage. Definitely Brazil. What a place to play football.
So Jack, fantastic to have you with us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me on, Dan. Really looking forward to sharing my experience of hidden disabilities and how everyone can reach their potential.
Fantastic, I'm looking forward to it. So first, could you tell us a little bit more about your life before the attack?
Yes, of course. So 18 years of age, just before the attack, things were going terrifically well for me. I had a normal upbringing, grew up in the countryside in Gloucestershire. Fell in love with the game very young, having watched Eric Cantona when I was 4 years of age. Took up the game of football, joined Birmingham City when I was 10 years of age. I made it through the ranks to 18 years of age, where I was a under-18 player, under-18 captain, made 30 odd appearances for the reserve team, and things were going really well. And what I learned from being in a high-pressure environment from so young was the ability to deal with pressure, the ability to prepare well for things, and the ability to perform well within a team. I was training sort of 4 times a week at Birmingham City from the age of 10 years of age, 120-mile round trip. So it was a relentless schedule, but it taught me so many life skills, which have stood me in good stead for the future. So I learned a lot growing up with the balance of school and sport life. And as I said, 18 years of age, things were going really well. I felt great physically, felt great mentally, and I was doing really well. Just about to sign my professional contract for Birmingham City and just about to play in the FA Youth Cup semi-final against Liverpool before the attack happened, unfortunately.
Wow, and so do you want to explain a little bit, just briefly, what happened in that attack and how did that affect you physically, mentally and emotionally?
So it's March the 22nd, 2009. We had a weekend off, so I went home and I celebrated with friends. We just booked our place in the FA Youth Cup semi-final. It looked like I was going to become a professional football player. So I went on a night out, but unfortunately I was the victim of an unprovoked assault. So a boy, he punched me in the back of the head, knocked me unconscious. I fell, hit my head on a curb, fractured my skull in 2 places, bleed on the brain, and moderate brain damage. But I also severed my cochlea and vestibular nerve. So that made my right ear deaf, will be for the rest of my life, and that controls your balance and your coordination as well. So it affected me massively, my balance and coordination. That was the reason why I had to retire from professional football, and also not being able to hear important calls on the pitch. But also mentally, it really affected me. So it affected my emotional control, my memory. I used to get really, really tired all the time. I used to get neuro fatigue, and then that didn't help with concentration, learning new skills, and I really, really struggled. When I retired from professional football, it then really, really affected me with my mental health. So I was very anxious about my future, very angry by what happened, and I was a bit sad and down in the dumps. So it affected me massively, unfortunately, pal.
And can you tell us how you dealt with that situation? And I know you've got a tattoo on your wrist, which I think is quite inspiring. Do you want to talk us a little bit about what that means to you and your story after the attack?
Of course, yeah. So I think everyone goes through challenges in life, don't they? Every single person in the world. And it's how you overcome those challenges that makes you who you are as a person. And little tattoos have just helped inspire me. So I've got a rising phoenix on my chest, but I've also got a little quote that you'd have seen in the video. It matters not how many times you fall down. What matters most is how many times you rise. So we all get knocked down in life in different ways. Everyone goes through bad times, but it's how you bounce back from those bad times that makes you who you are as a person. Unfortunately for me, I showed some resilience. I tapped into some support networks I have around me. And I was always searching for new opportunities. Some went terribly wrong, I'll be honest with you. University, for example, didn't go to plan. Coaching at the start didn't go to plan. But when I found Paralympic football, it completely changed my life.
Oh, fantastic. So really inspiring, that story of how you built your life up again from there. And so this video, looking with a focus on hidden disabilities in particular, can you give us some examples of how your disability affects you in ways that people might not necessarily notice?
Yes, of course. So my balance and coordination won't be noticed for me in everyday tasks. So walking around, doing everyday tasks, you won't see it. But when I do specific training, sideways, backwards movements, moving at real pace, or even balancing on one leg, that's when you see my balance and coordination start to go. But I would say it's more stuff like subtle stuff, like because I'm deaf in one ear, I can obviously hear quite a lot, but there are instances where I can't hear as well. So I go to quite a lot of gala dinners, charity events, and often I'll be put on circular tables, okay? And I don't know people that well. So on this side of me, I can talk, that's fine, but I'm always conscious, is someone saying something to me? Have they asked me a question? And it actually gives me real anxiety, if I'm honest with you. And I'm constantly alert, constantly feeling pressure, and that really tires me out. I don't always enjoy those events as much because I'm constantly on alert. So there's times in those sorts of environments where it's loud and I can't hear as well on that side. And also doing my work. So I coach now and I do lots of speeches up and down the country. Very fortunate, obviously mentoring programs for the Dame Kelly Holmes Trust as well. But when I maybe ask a question of the audience, what did you learn from my story? How do you show resilience? When they don't put their hand up and they shout out the answer, I'm like a deer in the headlights, like looking around, trying to locate the sound, and I can't see it. And honestly, it makes me feel quite bad because I'm thinking, are they looking at me like, why am I looking over there when the sound comes from over there? So it's not always easy. And that again gives me a bit of anxiety and a bit of worry. So they're just 2 examples that I go through quite a lot where people wouldn't know necessarily, but it does affect me because of my hidden disability. So I've compensated really well. I'm very, very fortunate in the recovery I've made, but there are still instances where I have a hidden disability that affects me to this day.
No, really helpful. And there's a wide range of hidden disabilities. What do you think we could do and people could do to show more understanding and support towards people who do have a hidden disability?
I think that we have to show patience towards people with any additional needs, any disability whatsoever. If you actually spend time getting to know people and you're open-minded and you chat to them and get to know them, as I said, you might see that they might take a little bit longer to do tasks, but that is absolutely fine, okay? Be patient with people, support people. Wherever you are, whether it's school, whether it's in your sports team, whether it's in a business, try to create an environment that's inclusive and positive. If you do that, that should give everybody the tools and the belief that they can go and reach their potential. Too many times in the past, I believe people with disabilities have been isolated. You go over there, you do that, you're not part of this. When actually, the more we can include everyone, the more we can be really diverse and inclusive, the more people out there in the UK and in the world, obviously, as well, can reach their potential. So if I was speaking to any young person who might be dealing with somebody who might have autism, who might have a learning difficulty, acquire brain injury like me, be supportive, be patient with them, be kind to them, and just watch them achieve amazing things as well.
Fantastic. And so a big question, does having a disability mean that you cannot be successful?
No, not at all. So I was very lucky to captain Great Britain in the Paralympic Games in 2016. So I do like saying that, if I'm honest, Dan. It's a nice thing to say. So I'm very fortunate. But it was in those games where I met so many athletes from different sports, different backgrounds. But I remember seeing like a Paralympic swimmer with no arms, no arms, swimming through the pool, and he was absolutely rapid. I couldn't believe it. And then I saw him about an hour later in the food hall using his feet as hands, his knife and fork in his feet to cut up his food in the food hall. And I was like, wow, that is what can happen if you have a positive attitude towards life. He's got a disability, but he can still achieve amazing things. And I've got some great examples here as well. So you've got Daniel Radcliffe, who obviously played Harry Potter. He's a famous actor. He has got dyspraxia, but he hasn't let that affect his acting career. You've got people like Stephen Hawking, doesn't need any introduction, one of the cleverest men to ever lived on this earth. And one of the most interesting ones, because I've got a brother who's got autism and he's got amazing memory. He can remember things when he was like 6 months, he says, and 1 year old. There's a guy called Stephen Wiltshire who's got autism, as I just said. And he literally can take one look at something, one brief look at a landscape, and he can draw it exactly how it is. Imagine that, taking one look at something, having that good a photographic memory, he can go away and draw it perfectly. So they're just some examples of people that I've seen or met that just show you it doesn't matter if you have a disability, it doesn't matter if you have an additional need, you can still achieve amazing things in life. And that's all down to your positive attitude.
That's fantastic, real encouragement. Do you have any other final advice for anyone that might have a hidden disability, or any other ways that we can support people with hidden disabilities?
Yeah, I think you just understand that not all disabilities are visible, as I said. Be patient and support them in the best way possible. When you actually go through challenging times, so if you have a disability and you feel isolated at times, you can't always join in with things, whether it's physical activity or you're struggling to remember and understand things in the classroom, just remember it's actually through those challenging and testing moments that make you who you are as a person. Life's all about what lens you look at life through. You can look at it through a negative lens where it defines you and you can't set goals for the future, you don't have aspirations, or you can look at it through a positive lens. So I can learn from this, I can grow from this, and I can develop from this. It's not about where you start in life, it's about where you finish. And that all comes down to your attitude as well. And draw inspiration from others. Draw inspiration from the people that I just mentioned. There's so many people out there with different impairments, different disabilities that achieved amazing things as well. So tap into that, be inspired, and just always be a kind, humble, hardworking person. There's no reason why you can't achieve amazing things.
Wow, thank you, Jack. I think your life is a real example of exactly what you've just said, and a real encouragement for everyone listening here to take away from that.
Thank you very much. Very kind.
Fantastic. I think it would be good to have a watch of some of your clips from your playing career. What do you think?
Yes, that sounds good to me.
Great. Let's see those now.
Okay, so my task for each of the listeners on the call today is this. For me, personal development is really, really important to help you reach your potential. So to bring this to life, I want you to have a pen and paper in front of you, and I want you to imagine that you are told that you cannot do something. Now write down how that would make you feel. So imagine someone saying you can't play football, you can't do any music today, you can't play on the PlayStation today. Okay, and then write down how that would make you feel if somebody said that to you. Because that's what it can be like for someone with a disability. A completely deaf person will never hear. A totally blind person will never see. So they are from birth or later on in life told they cannot do something. However, there are so many things you can still do in your life. So if you focus on all the things you can do rather than you can't do, it can really help you to still grow and develop. So that paints a picture. Now for your task. I want you to think of one simple thing that you can do every single day that will help develop you as a person. Maybe develop a life skill, a hobby, a habit that will develop you in the future. And write it down on a post-it note or put it on your calendar on your phone to remind you every single day. But it's got to be something simple. Something like make my bed every day. Make my mum a cup of tea every day. Save £10 a week. Okay, it could be read a few pages of a book. So start really, really simple. Make sure it's on a post-it note so you can see it every day. Make sure you have a little calendar sort of notification every single day to keep you on top of it. Give it a go for a month, and I promise you, you'll see the benefit, because it can really help you to develop a skill, a hobby, or interest. And always remember, habits lead to consistency, and consistency leads to growth. Enjoy it. Thank you.
Jack, thank you so much for sharing your story, experience and advice with us. There's so much for everyone watching to be able to take away from that video. So if you have been watching, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Do have a go at the task that Jack has set for you. And I'd like to say once again, big thank you to Westfield Health for making this video possible.